Admiral Evelyn Cross had walked across war zones, commanded fleets through storms that could snap destroyers in half, and stood unflinching before world leaders, who waited on her word but nothing in her 30 years of naval service had ever weighed on her boots, the way the quiet walk to her daughter Lily's grave did. The military cemetery lay just outside Norfolk, lined with white stones like disciplined soldiers standing in eternal formation. And every time Evelyn pushed open its iron gate, the world fell silent, as if even the wind understood that a mother's grief did not welcome noise. Today the sky hung grey and heavy, casting a soft, cold light over the marble rows, and Evelyn moved with slow, ritual familiarity, step, breath, swallow, step toward the grave she had visited every Sunday since the accident 5 years ago. Lily, only 14 at the time, had been bright, fiery, impossible to contain. A girl who loved marine biology, star-shaped stickers, and spending weekends aboard Evelyn's ship. And yet, for all her dreams, life had taken her in one unthinkable second when a drunk driver crossed the lane. Evelyn had been overseas then, leading a rescue operation in the Indian Ocean, and the call had gutted her in a way no torpedo ever could. She blamed herself for not being home, for every deployment that had taken her from her daughter's childhood, for believing there was always more time. And so every Sunday she came, medals on her chest, not because she wanted to show rank, but because she wanted to show Lily that her mother was still fighting, even if the battles felt hollow now. But today, as Evelyn turned the corner to the familiar spot beneath the willow tree, she froze. Someone was kneeling beside Lily's grave, not a stranger visiting their own loved one, not a groundskeeper adjusting the flowers. This was a man in a janitor's uniform, shoulders shaking, a tiny girl curled into his chest, both of them crying softly as if the earth itself had broken their hearts. Evelyn's instinct snapped into alert mode. Who was he? Why was he here? Why was he crying at her daughter's grave? She approached slowly, boots crunching the frost-bitten grass. The man turned, startled, wiping his face with the back of his hand, embarrassment flooding his expression. He looked exhausted, worn down, early 30s maybe, with tired eyes that had carried too many sleepless nights. The little girl, maybe 5, maybe 6, clung to him tightly, her cheeks wet and her hair messy from tears. "I'm sorry," the man said quickly, standing even as his knees wobbled. "I didn't mean to. I know this is your daughter's grave. His voice cracked, and he looked away, as if ashamed to breathe the same air. Evelyn felt something shift inside her, not suspicion, but curiosity wrapped in the faint ache of recognition. "Who are you?" she asked, her tone firm but not harsh. "And why are you crying here?" The man swallowed hard, clutching the little girl's hand like a lifeline. "Me. Name's Daniel Reyes," he said quietly. I work night shift at the elementary school down the street. And this is my daughter, Mia." He glanced at the headstone as if it held an invisible truth. "We didn't come here to cause trouble. We came because your daughter saved my life." Evelyn felt the air punch out of her chest. Lily, her Lily, the girl who'd barely had time to leave her mark on the world beyond scribbled drawings and seashell crafts. "What do you mean?" the Admiral demanded, though her voice softened. Daniel's eyes filled again, blinking fast. 5 years ago, he said, I was at my lowest point. My wife had just left. I'd lost my job, and Mia was just a baby. I felt like a failure, like Mia deserved someone better. I came here to this cemetery because I thought maybe it'd be easier to disappear than to keep disappointing everyone." Evelyn felt her throat burn. She knew that feeling too well, the crushing guilt, the nights staring at the ceiling thinking she'd failed her daughter by choosing duty over motherhood. "I was sitting right over there," Daniel continued, pointing to a stone bench near the willow tree, "and I was crying so hard I didn't notice someone sit beside me. It was Lily." Evelyn's breath caught. She imagined her daughter, dark curls, mischievous eyes, always the first to help someone, even when she didn't fully understand what they were going through. "She didn't say anything at first," Daniel said, voice trembling at the memory. "She just sat there swinging her legs, humming some song about dolphins. Then she looked at me and said, 'My mom says storms don't last forever, But only if you keep steering. Evelyn closed her eyes. That was her phrase. Something she'd told Lily during every rough deployment. Every time the girl cried because she missed her mum. Keep steering, baby. Storms don't last forever. She talked to me, Daniel whispered. And I don't know why, but everything she said about second chances, about how Mia would one day look for me in every crowd, she pulled me back from the edge. She told me she believed in me. Evelyn felt something warm and painful bloom behind her ribs, as if Lily herself had reached through time to squeeze her hand. I didn't know she was gone, Daniel added, wiping his eyes. Not until months later. I saw her photo on the school's memorial wall. I realized the girl who saved me was just a child, but she saved my life anyway. And today, Mia asked why we come here every year and bring flowers. For the hero girl, I thought. She was too young to understand. But she told me Lily is like her guardian. The little girl tugged Daniel's sleeve, looking up at Evelyn with wide, earnest eyes. She helped my daddy, she said softly. So I want to say thank you. Evelyn knelt, her uniform brushing the grass, tears slipping free. She had spent years believing Lily left the world before doing enough, before being enough. And here was a man whose entire life and whose daughter's future existed because Lily had sat beside a stranger on a bench and shared a piece of her mother's wisdom. Thank you for telling me, Evelyn whispered, her voice cracking. Daniel shook his head. No, thank her. Everything good in our life, every step forward we've taken, is because of your daughter. Evelyn placed a trembling hand on Lily's headstone. You're still steering, sweetheart, she thought. Even from here, you're still steering. The wind rustled the willow leaves like soft applause, and for the first time in years, Evelyn felt breath enter her lungs without pain. She stood facing Daniel. You said you're a janitor now? He nodded, embarrassed. Yeah, it's all I could get after. Everything fell apart. There's honor in honest work, Evelyn said firmly. And my daughter clearly saw something in you. Daniel's shoulders shook. Again, only this time not from grief, but from the overwhelming weight of being seen. If you ever need anything, Evelyn added, you come to me. Understand, Lily saved you, and now I'd like to return the favor. Mia slipped her tiny hand into Evelyn's. Can we visit her with you? She asked. Evelyn nodded, tears warming her cheeks. I'd like that very much. And as the three of them stood there beneath the silent willow, something shifted in the air, a broken mother, a single dad, and a little girl bound together by the kindness of a child who never got to grow up. For the first time since Lily's death, Evelyn didn't feel alone. She felt guided, and the storm inside her finally began to calm, one breath at a time. To the viewers, if this story touched your heart, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more powerful, emotional stories that inspire, heal, and uplift. Your support keeps these stories alive.